Welcome into our Matrix Midwest Sports on 4 podcast studios here at our First Alert 4 headquarters in Maryland Heights. We got 2/3 of the Sports on 4 team here with you, and we're going to talk a little Cardinals, City SC, and maybe some Olympics here. Just chat a little bit about sports. I'm James Versosimo, joined by Gracie Barra. Grace, the Cardinals season is just around the corner. This team, a lot of new on this team. Your overall thoughts about what the Cardinals are kind of putting on paper early this season?
Well, it seems like they're doing what they have alluded to doing the last few seasons. They labeled it as a youth movement. Now I just think it's fully a rebuild, right? We are seeing them trade away those key pieces and get back those youth pieces to where they think that they can build for the future. This Brendan Donovan trade obviously is the big one that we've been talking about this offseason. And not only did they get 3 prospects back, but 2 top 100 picks, I believe, in the draft. So you can see them trending toward a rebuild. And you know this season's not going to be maybe the prettiest. They don't have a single all-star at this point, but Chaim Bloom said that he doesn't want to keep a guy on the roster just because of the glory days, because they were an all-star, and now he's looking ahead to the future.
Yeah, last year they had, Arenado, Willis Contreras, Sonny Gray, Brendan Donovan, who's a Gold Glover at one point in utility. They had those guys last year. They don't have them this year. I think that runway you had for guys last year is even more magnified this year because you're going to get guys getting called up, most likely like J.J. Weatherholt and other young guys on the roster that are going to have that runway, but you have other guys that are at the tail end of their runway. You look at guys like Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, who had their runway before.
You say the plane's going to go off the runway?
Yeah.
It needs to take off.
Maybe the plane needs to take off at some point. So that's an interesting part of this when you look at the field, but when you look at the bullpen and the starting pitchers, that conversation I think is going to get really loud over the next month as you lead into opening day in late March. And the good part, and a reason why you're only seeing 2 of us here today, is because our friend Tamar Scher is actually in Jupiter, Florida, and she sat down with Matthew Liberatore, who is looking to maybe take that ace spot in this starting rotation. She sat down with him earlier this week.
The sights and sounds of spring training in Jupiter are back as the Cardinals pitchers and catchers reported for their first official workouts with a brand new facility. Cardinals starting pitcher Matthew Liberatore knows this place well and said the upgrades will help elevate player development.
We're really going to have an opportunity to get a whole lot better here.
Today, Libby threw a live session with his teammates watching, and today he told me he's been working to add to his arsenal.
Broke headlines on Twitter the other day that I'm breaking out a splitter potentially this year, so that is the secret pitch that I've been working on this off season. Still don't know exactly where it's going to be come season time, but that could possibly be a 7th pitch for me this year.
After his live session, Liberatore spoke about the culture he's seen develop early on, saying it was cool to have Dustin May, the Cardinals' big free agent signing this offseason, standing right behind him during his live.
So many, young faces and kind of entering this rebuild, if that's what you want to call it. I think there's going to be a ton of opportunities for guys to really step up and kind of carve out a role for themselves, myself included.
As questions remain surrounding who will be the Cardinals' opening day starter, Liberatore tells me and other reporters that he'd be lying if he didn't say he visualizes it every now and then, but he did say that his job is to go pitch, get outs, and give his team a chance to win every time he touches a baseball.
This kid is as dialed in with his process and his routine as anybody we've had here. He likes the ownership and how these outings go and his commitment to making sure we're, again, process-based, piece by piece, making sure every week we're looking at and having attention to detail to make sure we're not missing anything. That gets him fired up. And so you have to love somebody in that role that is going to get almost like compound interest on their opportunities.
From Jupiter, Tamar Scher, Sports on 4.
Now, if you're looking at the Cardinals' ace position and you look at the opening day starter, I think you have to look at Matthew Liberatore and I think you have to look at Dustin May. But that rotation in general, to me, Grace, is really interesting, especially when you have guys that have the experience there, like Palante last year, and then you have Matthew Liberatore. But then you also have guys that don't necessarily have that starting rotation experience, and you look at guys like Kyle Leahy, you're hoping to crack that.
Yeah, I was just looking at the MLB's projected rotation, which you mentioned, like he's in there in that 5 spot. Also McGreevy, who we saw come into the rotation towards the end of last season obviously has that experience, although limited. But I'm really curious to see how Kyle Leahy does, obviously, because we've only seen him coming out of the pen with the Cards and the Bigs. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, Dustin May's a new guy that we haven't seen with the Cardinals yet. But I think Matthew Liberatore is ready to take on this ace role. And when you look at that group of 5 guys, he seems like the obvious choice for opening day starter. I don't know about you.
Yeah, Dustin May, I think, because of his track record and his past, is one that can definitely take on that opening day starting position. Liberatore, just because of his strength of work with the Cardinals over the last couple of years. And I think we're getting like our first look and our first real look at what the Cardinals are really hoping for, which is going for this young youth movement type deal and having guys step into roles they wouldn't typically have. Matthew Liberatore gets to sit behind Sonny Gray, and I mean, Eric Fetty didn't really play great last year, but he's a veteran guy, and he was a veteran guy in that rotation. He gets to sit behind guys like that, and the year before that, you have Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn. So he has those years of sitting behind like the veterans in the league, learning how to become a top guy in a rotation. And then the Cardinals front office does what they say they're going to do. They get rid of their top guys, and it's Libby's spot to take if he comes into camp and he does what he's supposed to do. So what I like about it is the Cardinals are doing what they've said they're going to do, and it gives guys like Matthew Liberatore a pathway, a direction, and an opportunity that he wouldn't have on a lot of teams in the MLB. And I think he's excited about that opportunity. And in that piece we just shared with Tamar, he talks about, like, he's adding a splitter. He has this flexibility that he normally won't have elsewhere. Dustin May, Matthew Liberatore, I think it's between those two. What I want to talk to you about is Jurrangelo St.
You nailed it.
Because you know way more about this guy than I do. So I'm going to kind of give you the floor on this guy because he's got to be one of the most interesting pitchers in all Major League Baseball. But you have more of a history with him than someone like me who just learned about him about a month ago.
Yeah, so I worked in Starkville for, I think, 2-ish baseball seasons. The 2 seasons that Jurrangelo St. was Mississippi State's, I don't think he was their ace. Honestly, he was their Sunday guy. He would have been a good ace, though. I'll tell you that.
That would have been fun.
He was drafted out of high school as a shortstop. Believe, like, really late, maybe 18. I don't remember which round exactly. Decided to go through with it, go to college, because he wanted to get drafted as a pitcher, obviously. And the one thing everybody knows about him, that he's a switch pitcher, which is insane, unheard of. I mean, obviously Shohei is a freak, but being able to throw consistent 90s on target,
absurd,
with your right and your left is so crazy. And the craziest part about it to me is that he is left-hand dominant, but throws better with his right.
That doesn't make much sense.
No, and the reasoning behind it is because his dad was also a pitcher. His dad was righty, so he would take his dad's glove and tried to mimic his dad, and that's how he figured out how to pitch with his right. Obviously left-hand dominant, so he's fine pitching it that way. And then he just kept up with it. But at Mississippi State, his first season, they let him do both. And then his second season, his sophomore year, they kind of took him back a little bit, said, we're gonna have you just throw right. And I think the issue, which I was actually talking about with my boyfriend, who also covered him at Mississippi State, is that when he was switching back and forth, obviously he pitched left a lot more because they're more right-handed batters and everything, but he would kind of just get off his rhythm a little bit, so he'd have a lot of walks. And that was the issue with them that they were seeing. They didn't want him constantly switching because he was walking so many guys when he was switching. Obviously, that was a couple of years ago at this point, so he can develop, and I know he really does want to develop from both sides. So I'm excited that the Cardinals are seemingly giving him that space to do so, because the Mariners looked like they were going to shut him down on the left side.
I think if you're a Cardinals fan and you're someone in the Cardinals organization and you're looking at reasons people should come out to the ballpark, and imagine having a pitcher throwing righty one inning, throwing lefty.
So cool.
I'm not even sure it's going to happen like that.
No, but it's so cool.
But
not
just
even
the
inning.
option.
He switches mid-inning.
Like, could you imagine, like, the option to do that? The challenge, of course, is being consistent on both sides. And I think when you look at the workload for Major League pitchers and what they have to do, you have to do that on one side. You spend 2 hours figuring out doing all the muscles, everything, all the workouts on one side. Then you got to do it again on the other side. Like, there's only 24 hours in a day. Can you and your lower body, it's all the same lower body. So now your lower body's tired.
What happens if you have to get TJ?
Then you have a backup.
Right.
The interesting part about the whole thing is if the Cardinals do tell him he's only going to throw righty, or they only tell him he can only throw on one side, if you get to a point, which the Cardinals got to this point a few times last year, where you get extra inning games in a series where you only had one day off for 2 weeks and you just need arms.
Boy, does he have two of them.
That's what I'm saying. Like if he pitched already like the day before and threw a few too many innings,
yeah,
can't you just bring him back the next night if you go extras or something and make him throw on the left side? So I think that's a decent spot.
It's also really interesting too because in college baseball they had to rethink the rules for him because
it's switch hitter.
Right, switch hitter. So they had to decide like, wait, who declares first, which whatever. So the pitcher, I think, would have to decide first which arm he was going to throw with, and then the hitter could decide which way he was going to go. Also for warm-up rules, like you get so many warm-up pitches, he got double because he had to warm up from both sides.
Interesting.
Like the whole can of worms that you haven't ever thought about because who the heck else is pitching like this? So I'm curious to see how that'll go through the minors, and then hopefully when we see him come up, what's that going to be like if he's still pitching both ways?
A lot of interesting tidbits about this team and a lot of interesting things to look at. The number one complaint I think I hear from fans or when I talk to them, obviously no Arenado, no Wilson, no Yachty, no Albert. Like those guys haven't been here for a few years. Lars Nootbaar is going to be late to spring training, so who knows when he's going to get back. But they're looking for fan favorites. They're looking for someone to come out to the ballpark and watch. I'm buying a ticket. Who am I going to watch? Who am I going to be excited about? My answer has been the same for like 2 seasons, and my answer has been Mason Wynn.
Okay.
Like watching him. I mean, you've been to a lot of ballpark. You've been to a lot of games at the ballpark and watching Mason Wynn. I think he is one of the most entertaining defensive players I've seen in a really long time, and the plays that he can make, and then he can swing it too. Like he bats well. He's fast. He can do things that are really entertaining for you. If you had to tell, if someone comes to you and says, who should I come to the ballpark to watch? Who are you telling them?
Oh, that's hard. The team looks so different. I feel like you're right. Mason Wynn's the obvious answer, right? Because he just won a Gold Glove. A guy that you're not going to see every day, but has been a fan favorite. He's become a fan favorite. I feel like is Pozo.
I knew you were going to go Pozo.
Oh my God, I'm predictable. But
we were also just talking about him before we came on here.
Pozo, he dropped 33 pounds.
Yeah.
And if you remember, the Cardinals waived him back at the end of last season, and then they re-signed him. And I remember when there were those couple days where he wasn't with the Cardinals, people were mad.
Mad. How we get rid of this guy?
Yeah.
Why we get rid of Pozo? He's smiling every time. He swings.
He's a happy story.
Yeah.
He's kind. Like every interaction we've had.
He swings at every ball that comes near the strike zone.
He also doesn't miss.
And he makes contact with it. You're either getting a souvenir or it's going to be like a walk-off.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, I mean, his game at Wrigley last summer, that's enough for fans to be like, yeah, that's who I want.
He's going to be a clear fan favorite as we move into this season. If we go, my directions right. If we go west of downtown a little bit to City Park, an interesting team that is going to be as well.
Yes.
If you look at the Cardinals, then look at City SC. City SC, obviously, new sporting director in Corey Ray. Yohan DeMay takes over as the new head coach. They're in kind of also in a transition period right now. They shipped Klaus out to LA to join the Galaxy. I don't want to talk too much about him right now. Let's hear what an MLS analyst has to say in Dax McCarty, because he has a good take on it, and then I want to react to what he says.
Overall thoughts, I think it's going to be a very difficult start to the season, again, for St. Louis City. And I think you're looking at a really challenging year as the roster stands right now. I look at the job that Corey Ray has on his hands, and to be able to go and get a permanent head coach and to go and start turning this roster over, which clearly last year I thought it lacked the necessary quality to really challenge in Major League Soccer. And so it's going to take time. And I don't know if St. Louis City fans want to hear that. But listen, they've added some pieces to the roster who I think will be high-level contributors. But if you go throughout the offseason and some of the other teams that maybe are the barometer for MLS teams in terms of quality that they have added in the offseason, St. Louis City falls far behind that. And so they've got some work to do, and it's going to take time. People are going to have to be patient with this roster and with Johan Dome, because it's going to take time to incorporate the things that I think he'll want to incorporate with this squad.
You mentioned new guys on the roster and guys that are trying to get into this team and understand how Yohan Dome wants things to be done in St. Louis. But from your perspective, what do we know right now about these new guys on the team that we really haven't seen in a City kit yet?
Yeah, there's been a couple of additions up the spine that I think will help. And I think MLS experience is always a good thing, especially when you can get players that have been on good teams in the past and they know how to win games. I think that's always positive. And so I'm looking at a kid like Daniel Edelman, who's still at a really good age, who comes from a system in the New York Red Bulls that consistently made the playoffs. And he's got a great mentality, great head on his shoulders. He's going to add stability right in the spine of your team. You lose a guy like Henry Kessler, who was a big loss for that St. Louis team. But then you add a guy like Mamadou Fall, who has previous experience in La Liga and with LAFC. His ceiling as a center back is extremely high. And then Lucas McNaughton, a guy who I played with as a center back in Nashville, if he's healthy and when he is healthy, can be a very good contributor for a good team in Major League Soccer. So a couple of additions up the spine of the team in the defensive half of the field that I think are going to improve them. But I worry about their attack. You trade Joao Klaus to the LA Galaxy, and I know he took a lot of grief, I think, from St. Louis fans for not consistently scoring goals. But he was a quality player when he got service, and he scored some unbelievable goals towards the end of last year. Now, I worry about a team that struggled to score goals last year, getting rid of their best striker. I think that Dame has a lot of work to do, continuing to add to this roster and turn it over so it becomes a really high-level roster in Major League Soccer, because as I see it right now with St. Louis City, they've got a ton of work to do.
When you look at the midfield, I think Marcel Hartl, who's a co-captain on this team, he's a guy that gets a lot of attention, but he's got to be on both sides of the ball. You mentioned that attack. As it looks right now, does this look like more of an attack by committee because you do lose a guy like Klaus?
Yeah, it has to. It has to be an attack by committee at this point. And it's going to require some really high-level coaching from Yohan Dome to be able to create chances and fashion chances out of this team. I do really like some of the pieces. I think that Marcel Hartl is a very good piece to the puzzle. He's not an out-and-out goal scorer, and he's not an out-and-out creator. He's a little bit of a hybrid, kind of in between, but he's a player that has shown that he can contribute at a very high level in Major League Soccer. I just worry about a little bit of creativity. Other than Celio Pompeu, who had a nice season last year, you don't really have a lot of dynamism in that attack. You don't have a lot of pace to threaten teams in behind. And I think maybe that's why Dame was brought in, to try to come up with solutions with the ball. A team that wants to have possession, a team that wants to build out of the back, a team that wants to drag you from side to side. Those are kind of his calling cards as a manager when he has managed at the lower levels. But it just remains to be seen if St. Louis City has the necessary quality players to be able to implement everything that he is going to look to do. But to your original question, there's not even a doubt in my mind that this is a team that is going to have to score goals by committee, because they don't have an out-and-out stud striker who's going to consistently put the ball in the back of the net for you right now.
All right, well, according to Dax McCarty, a little bit of patience might be in store for not only Cardinals fans, but City SC fans, as well as we move into this season. It's going to be maybe a growing pains year. I don't know. I think the part he said in there when he mentioned about maybe that's why they brought Dame in, is to come with the challenge of, can you develop these guys? And I know there's already been changes at some practices that you were at as well. I haven't been out to City Park yet. You have, or sorry, Energizer Park. I forgot I got a new name. Energizer Park.
It's been a whole season.
I know. Sometimes, old dog, new tricks thing.
Oh my gosh.
But I wonder your experience at practice watching this new team under a new regime here in St. Louis.
First of all, it was chilly.
Oh, yeah, it's cold.
And I'm used to going out there and it's like 100.
And
I'm like,
you're sweating.
I need to be under the tent. I need water.
And you're on the turf and it's so hot.
It was chilly. And first of all, I'm walking out. I'm bundled up. Tomas Ostrak sees me he's like, oh, hey, I almost didn't recognize you because you're wearing like a hat and gloves and like, oh my gosh.
Like Tomas, it's like 4 degrees
Yeah,
out
he's
here. What are
wearing
you talking-
shorts. I'm like, dude, aren't you cold? He's like, no, I'm great.
It's because they're running around.
I'm like, what's your problem?
You're standing there for like an hour and a half. They're running around.
I know. And I was like, dude, I'm standing in the cold. Let me cover my ears. But that's not the point. The point is that I got to practice. Somebody comes out with a boombox. And I'm like, oh.
That's new.
We were playing music. And then, Jacob, guess what the first song was that they played?
Bad Bunny?
Debí tirar más fotos.
Really?
Yes. And I was like, oh, I wish Jacob was here right now. He'd be dancing.
I know. Favorite song as of like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So they were bumping music throughout just like their warm-ups and everything.
Which
but
is new.
So new.
Yeah.
Like, we would go to practice last year and it would be very serious.
Yeah. Oh, and it's just like, it's not a very like loud part of town either.
No, it's pretty quiet.
Like
the
the-
Ferris wheel's just minding its business.
Yeah, and the interstate is like close, but not
Yeah.
close enough. So like sometimes you can hear like, you know, Celio making a joke, but he's like way over on the other side of the field. Like you can hear that stuff, but I feel like the music might be a good mix. This might be like a new age.
I was hoping that's what it would be, and I was like, "Is this like an everyday thing?" And Cash, who's their media relations guy, was like, "Yep, this is like happening now." And I'm like, "Awesome, okay, now I'm excited to be at practice
Yeah.
too," which I'm sure is how these dudes feel as well.
Yeah, and when you look at this team last year when they were struggling so much, it was like, yeah, spirits are still high. We're still trying to get to that point. You know, we know we're a good team. We just got to kind of get over the hump. And at points, you could kind of feel like, yeah, I get spirits might still be higher. You still might be trying to do something here, but like, how do you keep that attitude if you continue to get beat? Something has to change here. And even when Critchley was there, they were like, we're still doing good things, but it goes into like moral victories instead of actual victories at times.
Right.
And then now with DeMay, you're like, what are you going to change? Like, you got to change something. And it's interesting that like this is the change that we're seeing at this point, because talking to Diego Gigliani, the president and GM of City SC, and I asked him, I go, what are your thoughts about what Corey Ray has done here? And he talked about, he's like, he's changed a lot, and DeMay is a piece of that change, but he's like, we have to change. He even said, he's like, if I was a fan of this team, I would not be happy. I understand why people aren't happy because the results haven't been there. We have to change. There might be a little bit of patience, and St. Louis fans might be sick of using the word patience, but there might need to be a little bit of patience there because you are dealing with a new coach and a new sporting director. Oh, by the way, these aren't like seasoned vets when it comes to being sporting director and head coaches. They're new in those roles as well. But he's like, we have to change, and we have to change something. And there might be a little, patience along the way to get where we want to go. But just because we hired somebody who does something doesn't necessarily be a quick fix. And it's going to be, you're going to win 10 games off the rip and be as good as you were back in 2023. So that part, to me, is a welcome change to this team.
For sure.
We just have to wait to see who some of these guys are and if they can actually do something.
Right, and there's going to be a lot of new faces. But one thing I'm excited about is obviously first team didn't do well last year. But the second team was incredible last year. They had a historic year. Obviously, hasn't been around for a whole lot of time. But the guys that we could expect see coming up to the first team, like Mackay Joyner, McSorley, I'm excited to see them get their shots. And obviously the new faces, too, that are joining the club.
City SC and the Cardinals are like the same. Remember,
Man, the farm system's great.
Springfield last year, great in the Texas League, had a great season. And the first team, not so great. City SC, not so great. And City 2 was outstanding. All right, before we get out of here, we got to talk a little bit about the Olympics.
Yes. Have you been tuned in?
I've been tuned in, but I'm interested because it takes so much of our banter time when we sit next to each other at work all day. What your favorite part of the Olympics has been so far?
Ooh, I have really enjoyed watching anything like downhill mountain. So like snowboarding,
so you don't like
skiing.
your knees? Yeah.
I don't like my knees?
Yeah, skiing
I'm not doing it.
looks terrible on your knees.
I'm not doing it.
I cringe every time I watch it because I feel like my knees are going to fall apart.
Well, my one beef is I love the drone shot. Obviously, love it.
The drones have been incredible.
Insane. I don't like the gnats on the drone, like the sound of the drone. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, but you
The
can't have one
views,
without the
though.
other.
Oh, gosh. We were talking. We're like, I feel like if I was a skier, I would just stop and like stare at the view.
Yeah.
Oh, let me take a picture really quick.
But they do
It's
it like every
beautiful.
day.
I know, but it's
you know?
so beautiful.
It's like kind of being on TV. Someone's like, oh, if I got in there, I'd just like look at all the lights that are in the
Yeah.
studio. It's like, oh, we do it every day.
Okay, what's your favorite?
Oh, you didn't like my comparison.
What? No, I was ignoring.
Okay. My favorite so far has been. I did not expect to be this into curling.
Oh,
The
okay,
Corys?
that's so basic.
I know,
of
but
you.
the Corys
Okay.
for the Americans.
Yeah.
That were going for the gold, and then I was like, oh, like they were early. I only caught like the last,
Yeah.
the championship match they had. I was like, oh, it's over. And then I realized that they also are in like the 4 women and the 4 men, like the teams there. I was like, oh, that's also it. So now I'm kind of into the strategy part of it a little
The
bit.
shoes are really what get
The
me. into
shoes
it.
are
Like, those
interesting.
cool.
Yeah, they are cool. One's like slippery. The other one's got a little like some tacks on them, I think.
They just stop on a dime too, and you're
yeah,
like, how? did
which
you
are
do that?
incredible. Also, United States women's hockey team.
They have been
Wagon.
awesome.
Wagon.
I mean, a force. 5-0 against Canada.
Yeah, I think I don't sports bet, and I don't really check the sports books, but I probably should have put some money on the women's team before the Olympics. I didn't
That's
realize they
some
were this
sicko
good.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were this good. Joy
Right.
Dunn, the American. Sorry.
But
Duh.
St. Louisan?
Yeah, I was gonna
She
say
is American.
yeah, everybody on the team's American. The St. Louisan, outstanding. Pew Suter, the blue.
He scored
He scored on Friday. He's doing well.
for Switzerland.
Bennington, shut out.
26 saves, I believe.
Matthew Tkachuk to Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, brotherly love.
Broberg, not hurt.
Yeah. And look, I don't know if you've gotten into the little Olympics app.
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
I'm not that far yet.
The Olympics
You
app
have
is
that?
fun. Yeah, and you can.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull up the Olympics app actually right now because you can. Everybody pronounces their name on the Olympics
okay.
app, right?
I saw a bad meme about that.
The TikToks.
Bad meme. Yeah.
Well, okay. I was listening to all the Blues guys because I'm like, oh, I want to hear them say their name.
Are
Like
you
if
talking
they're
about
funny,
Broberg?
right? Yeah.
I've never heard him say his name.
It's
Yeah.
not how we say it.
Yeah, it's not good.
We are very wrong.
I feel bad. Philip Broberg.
Very
I feel like
wrong.
we put like an American spin on it, maybe.
It doesn't sound anything like what we. Just give me a second. You're gonna feel bad about it.
Yeah, I got shown it yesterday and I felt really stupid.
Filip Broberg.
Yeah.
Filip Broberg.
Bro, Barry. Oh my, like.
Yeah, I
Could
feel
they
like.
have told us this?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's the same conversation as like Berggren and
Yeah,
Berggren,
Berggren.
where like sometimes he says it this way.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, covering sports, sometimes guys come to America that aren't from here and they just tell the people here, this is how you say my name.
Yeah.
They're like, just say it this way. And then they're like,
Broberg.
well, how's like your mom say it? And they're like, oh, well, like people back at home say
You're
it.
talking about Yvonne Herrera right now.
That's one of them. But also like I covered a guy in Springfield.
Yeah.
Jonathan Mogbo, who plays for, I think, the Portland Trailblazers right now. It was like Mogbo, and he told us, or he told the press in general, you can just call me Mogbo. And then I asked him on a one-on-one, I go, what is it? He's like, oh, it's Mogbo. And I was like,
But then you
well,
feel like the
then
goofy
I
one
can't-
because you're the one saying.
Then I'm
you're the
saying it
only one
wrong,
saying
and then
it
the
wrong.
school reaches out to me. He's like, hey, he says it's Mogbo. And I'm like, well, I actually asked him separately, and he said it's Mogbo. So like now...
Well, yeah, like imagine if you and I go on TV and we're doing highlights for the Blues and we're like, Philip Broberg scores. And we're like, who is that man? Who is
We
that
can't do
man?
it. So
Philip-
we're going to have a conversation with Phil Broberg when he gets back.
Yeah.
And say,
I will tell you, everybody else on the Blues, the name's checked out.
yeah, Colton Parayko. Colton Parayko. That's my favorite in this whole thing. All right.
Dalibor Dvorsky.
We're getting too far into the Olympics app here on this chat in our new podcast studio. Grace, this has been fun.
Yeah, let's do it again.
We'll do it again next week. Well, actually, I'll be in Florida next week, but we'll do it again.
Okay, rub it in a little bit.
Yeah, a few weeks after that, I'll have a good time in Florida. It'll be fun. All right, appreciate you joining us. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll talk more sports next week.